Hi everyone, good morning and good afternoon depending on where you are based in. You would have seen and completed the poll by now. While sharing the results, I would like to thank you for joining today's webinar on why make the move to DraftSight. Before we start, I will go through basic housekeeping information to keep this webinar as smooth as possible. If you have any questions at any time, please feel free to send them over through the chat box or the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen. We will address them during the Q&A session after the presentation or through the chat box during the session. So I would like to introduce two of our speakers today. First is Lynn Allen, who is our Global Technologies Evangelist with more than 20 years of experience with AutoCAD, and also Simon Ng, who is our ASEAN Sales Director. Now, without further ado, I'll pass the time over to our first speaker, Lynn Allen. Over to you, Lynn.
Hi there, thank you so much. Let me jump over to my presentation. Hold on a second. And please hold. All right, we're ready to go. Thank you all so much for joining us today. It's tonight for me. I'm coming to you from the US, from the East Coast. And I think it's good morning for most of you. And we're going to be talking all about the world of DraftSight today. I just want to give you a little bit of background on myself. I'm sure many of you don't know who I am. I spent most of my career in the land of AutoCAD, and I have been using AutoCAD since release 1.4. We don't want to talk about how long ago that was, back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, as I like to say. And I spent over 20 years working for Autodesk. I was the face of AutoCAD for them. I did all of their webinars and their videos and their tips and tricks booklets, and I've written 3 books on AutoCAD, and I've had a column on AutoCAD for over 20 years. But just basically the bottom line is that I speak AutoCAD. I don't know how to speak anything except for AutoCAD. So for those of you who have been using AutoCAD, you're in good hands, because that's the language that I know how to speak. So much of as I'm talking to you about DraftSight, I'm going to be talking to you through the eyes of someone who came from that world, just basically because I don't know how to do it any other way. And we're going to be talking to you, however, about this fabulous package called DraftSight. And let me just kind of move on to the next slide here. And my goal is, I need to kind of move these guys out of the way. Let's get all of these out of the way. I'm going to talk to you about how DraftSight is a fabulous, best-in-class 2D CAD program that's going to easily and famously actually replace your current CAD solution. And I'm going to not just talk about it. I'm not going to give you a bunch of PowerPoint slides. I'm going to take you into the product, and I'm going to give you a glimpse of it. We're going to walk through some of it so that you can feel nice and warm and fuzzy about it, and give you a nice experience, and talk to you once again through the eyes of someone who has been there. I get you. That's for sure. And is it a good solution for you? Because I don't think DraftSight is the perfect solution for everybody. So let's talk about whether or not you're a good candidate for that. And incidentally, I like that poll. Thanks so much for putting that poll up there, Nicholas. I'd love to know who I'm talking to. It looks like we actually have a pretty big AEC audience. I love seeing that. And we have some manufacturing folks. You're kind of all over the map. And one of the great things about DraftSight is it's a great tool for all of those different disciplines. If you know anything about the background of DraftSight, is originally it was created for Solidworks users. Now, Solidworks is a mechanical product, right? And it was created so that they would have a fabulous 2D CAD product to use. But then all of a sudden, all these AEC people out there, users, maybe some of you, discovered it and started using it. And we actually found that we have more AEC customers who are using DraftSight than we even have mechanical customers. It just kind of happened because they realized it was a fabulous 2D CAD solution. All right, so is it a good solution for you though? Let's talk about it. So if you would like to save a lot of money on your CAD tool, and I want to say a lot because it is probably a lot less expensive than what you are currently using, whatever it is you're currently using. And you maybe have decided that you would like to buy a network license or a perpetual license. Okay, so what is a perpetual license? That's something that we say all the time in the software industry, but you may not understand what that means. That means that you just want to buy it. I just want to buy it and own it and not have to give you guys any more money every year. You buy it, you own it, you're done. Now, you won't be able to upgrade, right, unless you give any more money, but nevertheless, you have it and you can keep using it as long as you want to. That's called a perpetual license. And the company that you're working with right now may not allow you to do that anymore. So we let you do that. You can just buy it, call it a day, you're done. Or maybe you want a network license. Maybe you have we'll think big. Maybe there's 50 people at your company. You have a big company. There's 50 people that want to have access to your CAD product, but maybe only 10 people at any given time are actually using it. Maybe you're a bunch of casual users. You just need to be able to go in, get out. Nobody's using it all the time, or only there's some people that are using it all the time. You might want 10 network licenses for 50 people, or maybe 20 for 50 people, whatever it is. That might be something that your current company, we won't name any names, isn't allowing you to do anymore. We let you do that. We're friendly, we're fabulous. And then I'd like to have this on here. It's a good solution for you if you are open-minded, because that is super important. Because you know what? DraftSight is not, I'm going to say this, is not AutoCAD, right? It is not exactly like AutoCAD. That would be bad and not fair and not okay if it was. You know, I worked at Autodesk for, like I said, over 20 years. Autodesk worked really hard to make AutoCAD the product that it is. It would not be fair if DraftSight came along and copied it, right? And made it exactly the same. It would be wrong on every single level. It is not exactly like AutoCAD. It is very similar to AutoCAD, and I'm going to show that to you. And it is very easy to make the move over to DraftSight, because guess what? All 2D CAD products, they have a lot of things in common. Lines, arcs, and circles, Cartesian coordinate system. It's just that simple. But it's not exactly like AutoCAD. And if you're closed-minded, and if you are not willing to make a couple of minor, tiny little itty-bitty adjustments, oh, you're going to have a hard time. All right. So you got to be open-minded. I hope you're open-minded. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. And it's a good solution for you if you don't have time for a steep learning curve, because it will not take you it's not going to take you a long time to adjust. I can testify to that. It did not take me a long time to make the move over to DraftSight. I don't even think about it anymore. And I thought I could never move to a different 2D CAD system ever. I never even processed it. And I have no problem in DraftSight. It's easy peasy for me. And I don't even have that much time to dedicate to it. Maybe some of you don't have that much time to dedicate to it. It's been easy. And you know, maybe you're just unhappy with your current CAD company and you're just ready for a change. You're just ready to get out and make a change. Then DraftSight is the perfect solution for you. But you know, I digress. We're going to take a look at it. We're going to go through a few things. I'm going to talk about how easy it is to make a transition over to DraftSight. I'm not going to just talk about it. I'm going to show you. Show me the money, right? And then we're going to talk about your customizations, because some of you have spent a lot of time and effort customizing your current CAD product, and you don't want to have to throw that out the window, do you? I wouldn't. Then you feel like you wasted your time. Can you bring those customizations over to DraftSight? We're going to talk about that. I wouldn't be happy if you couldn't, right? And then there are some amazing and very cool tools that exist in DraftSight that you're going to want to have. Oh yeah, you're going to say, I want that. And you're going to be sad that you don't have it. And that's going to how I really hook you into DraftSight. Trust me. Because when I was working for Autodesk, I was very envious of some of the tools that existed inside of DraftSight. And now I get to use them anytime I want. All right. Enough. So I do want to talk about this. So maybe do you, or maybe you know a coworker who feels like this. And what is this? You can have my AutoCAD when you pry it from my cold, dead hands. Is this you? Or is this one of your coworkers? I totally get it, right? You might have spent years, you might have spent decades building your life around the world of AutoCAD and learning all the ins and outs and the nooks and crannies. You might know Lisp, but you might have customized the heck out of it. You might be the king or queen of CAD at your company. It's very hard to let go of a product that you know in and out. So I totally get it. I totally get it. Is this you? It could be you. Well, I'm going to tell you this. And this is, I think, another great thing about DraftSight is the more you know about AutoCAD, guess what? The better you will be at making the move to DraftSight. You didn't see that coming, did you? It's true, though. The more you know about AutoCAD, the better you'll be at making the move to DraftSight. So you're not throwing that out the window. You can still be the king or the queen or the lead or whatever of DraftSight. I promise. You'll see, because it's very similar. Now, I like to call DraftSight not an identical twin to AutoCAD, because it's not. It's a fraternal twin. And you'll see that when I give you a fabulous little demo. And we go into the product, we take a look so you can see for yourself. So I also like to say, as I mentioned to you, the more you know about AutoCAD, right? The more you'll feel comfortable inside of DraftSight. And that's because DraftSight speaks AutoCAD. And what does that mean, Lynn? Well, you're going to see. I'm going to show it to you. All right, so I need to make a couple of little adjustments here. Give me just 2 seconds. Got rid of that. Okay, I'm dealing with Zoom. And let's jump over to the world of DraftSight. Oh yeah, here we are. All right, so first off, this is this is DraftSight. Doesn't look too crazy, does it? This is a brand new drawing, nothing in the drawing. And I kind of want to move this control over. Is it going to let me? We'll see. Brand new drawing. Now, brand new drawings inside of AutoCAD, drawing 1, drawing 2, drawing 3, drawing 4. Brand new drawings inside of DraftSight are called no name. No name 0, no name 1, no name 2. And I already knew that DraftSight was cool because they named their drawings, their brand new drawings, no name. They named them after a rapper. Did you know there's a rapper named No Name? It's a woman. Look it up, look it up. I already knew that made DraftSight cooler. Anyway, see, that's what I mean. Tiny little difference. I think you can handle that. Instead of drawing 1, it's called no name. You can handle that. No big deal, right? Simple, simple, simple. You feel comfortable. You feel right at home, don't you? Do you feel at home? I feel at home. All right, what else have we got going on? I've got let's see, I've got some tool palettes on the right-hand side of the screen. What's this thing? What is this? G-code generator. Lynn, that's not in AutoCAD. All right, so just a friendly reminder that I told you that DraftSight came from Solidworks originally. So you're going to feel that it's a little bit mechanically inclined. But anything that, if you happen to be an AEC and you're not mechanically inclined, you turn that all off. You don't have to have that sticking around. I don't want that one. Make that one go away. I can make it go away. It's gone. Poof, gone. If you are mechanically inclined, you might want to use that, right? What else have we got here? 3D Content Central. Oh, that allows you to access content like blocks, for example, that are out there that you have access to. You can turn that off if you don't like it. You might like it. What is this? Oh, properties. Oh, whew, now I feel comfortable. I'm going to leave that one up there. And there are a variety of palettes that you can turn on and turn off. I'll just do a right click here. You can see there's all kinds of them. I'm currently just going to leave properties on here. Those are the ones that are on there by default. You can control these, turn any of them on or off that you want, any way you want. You can have them fly out, fly in, fly out, you know, just like we're used to inside of AutoCAD. Very simple and very low stress, all right? Now, what else have we got going on? Lower left-hand corner of the screen, the command prompt. Just as the good Lord intended it to be, as I like to joke. I like to have the command prompt in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. You can move it anywhere you want, no problem. Don't worry about that. What else have we got going on? We happen to have model space and paper space layouts. I feel very comfortable. Let's go to a different drawing. Now let's go where there is actually objects, so you might feel a little bit more comfortable. I've got I happen to have, you know, the ribbon across the top of the screen. Everything should feel pretty comfortable. The quick access toolbar, the status bar across the bottom of the screen. Lynn, the status bar, it looks a little light. I would say the status bar in AutoCAD is a little heavy. What have we got? Am I going to be okay? Is it too light? Well, let's take a look. What's the very first option? TB layers. Lynn, what's that? Oh, you are going to want that. I'm going to talk about TB layers later. You are going to want that. This is one of those tools you're going to wish you had. All right, we'll get past that. What else have we got? Snap. Oh, I'm familiar with that. Grid, ortho, no surprises, polar. Please note also the function keys are exactly the same. Function keys in DraftSight, the same as in AutoCAD. Whew, feeling better already, right? Command line, lower left-hand corner, status bar where it should be. Everything kind of looks very similar on the screen. So far, so good. Function keys are the same. Oh, I'm feeling okay. What else have we got going on? E-snap. What's an E-snap? Entity snaps. In AutoCAD, they're called object snaps. All right. For all the money you're going to save, I think you can handle the 1 character difference. Instead of O snaps, They're e-snaps. All right. Trust me, you'll be all right. And what else have we got? We have e-track, not object tracking, it's entity tracking. So it's not O tracking, right? One character, once again, if you can handle it, very similar. They are not identical twins, they're fraternal twins. Let's not forget that. A dimension bounding box. What? That's not an AutoCAD. You're going to wish it was. I'll talk about that one later. And then we have, what else have we got? We've got Q input. That's dynamic input inside of AutoCAD. Very, very similar. Dynamic. CCS. That's a custom coordinate system as opposed to the user coordinate system, the UCS. Okay, I'm feeling all right. It's very similar. Just a couple characters got flipped around. Annotation scaling, exactly the same. No difference. And then, of course, we have where we are on the screen, the coordinates. Okay, I feel okay. Whew, so far, so good. All right. What else have we got going on? We have up here, we have workspaces, drafting and annotation, same name. I'm familiar with that. We have 3D modeling. Now in AutoCAD, you've got like basic 3D modeling, and then you have, advanced 3D, the whole 3D modeling. Why you have the two, I never understood that. Because you really just need the whole thing. Here's just, all in the same. I'll switch it over for you so you can see. And in DraftSight, you can do 3D inside of DraftSight, just like you can do 3D inside of AutoCAD. I was never a big fan of the 3D in AutoCAD. For that, you should be buying SolidWorks, right? You should be buying a real serious 3D solid modeler. You can do it in DraftSight, and you can do it in AutoCAD. It's just painful. That's all. All right. Classic. Do you guys remember the classic mode in AutoCAD? Do you remember that? Does it ring a bell? Where we actually have toolbars. We have the pull down menus. Anybody? So Autodesk took that away because they didn't want you to be able to use it anymore. Autodesk liked to make lots of decisions for you. We give it to you. We gladly give it to you because we know you might want to use it. We hand it to you. It's there for you because we're friendly. And here we have the drafting and annotation one that I already showed you. And then here I have my own workspace. I named after myself. This is the way I like to work. Once again, with properties over here, I've got the sheet set manager and things like that. So I'm living the dream. I feel comfortable. I'm happy. And once again, you can have these fly out so it doesn't take up too much of your screen real estate. I just happen to have it open. All right, what else we got going on, Lynn? Here you have your open drawing files. No surprise, nothing different. We have, very similar. You should feel comfortable because this is very similar. Okay, what else is going on? Now, if I come up here to the ribbon, we're used to being able to pull down, right? Pull down these tabs. There's nothing down here. There's nothing down here to draw or to modify. Does that mean I'm losing out on a whole bunch of commands? Because that would be bad. No, you're not. You're not missing out on anything. If I come up here underneath line, you'll actually see I don't need these panels to pull down because there are more commands that have been moved up higher. If I click on line, you'll see there's line and infinite line. What's that? X lines, right? And raise, and then rich lines. You know what those are? M lines in AutoCAD. And by the way, M lines in AutoCAD. Oh, dreadful. Like one of the worst commands ever in AutoCAD. Inside of DraftSight, they got the rich lines correct. Parallel lines, right? You can set up a style, a rich line style, and even after you've drawn the rich lines, you can update them. You can't do that in AutoCAD. Once you draw them in AutoCAD, you're done. You've got to do them all over again. They did a great job with rich lines inside. And if you're in AEC, you're loving that already. I know you are. Okay, what else have we got going on here? Once again, if I click here, polyline, rectangle, polygon, they're just moved up above instead of by pulling down a panel. Ring. What's a ring? I don't know. Do I have to learn a whole bunch of new commands? Because that is going to take me time. What's a ring? A ring, you can tell what it looks like. It's a donut. Well, I have to tell you, I'm a little sad that I don't get to type in donut anymore. It's not called donut, it's called ring. And how am I supposed to know that? This is where I tell you it speaks AutoCAD. Let's type in donut. Oh, you have to spell it right. Donut. Look, as soon as I start typing, it goes, oh, you must mean the ring command. It recognizes the AutoCAD commands. Can you see that? It executes ring. If I type in, let's say, how about purge? Purge, which, by the way, what a terrible name for a command, right? Named after an incredibly violent movie. I'm going to exercise this drawing. Purge, you can see it executes a command called clean, right? So you do not have to know the DraftSight equivalent commands. You don't have to know. It is going to figure it out for you. You type in the AutoCAD commands and it will execute the appropriate AutoCAD commands. Poetry in motion. It's beautiful. That is going to keep you from having that big, steep learning curve, right? We don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. You don't have time to learn an entirely new product. All right, what are other things that you might worry about? Zooming, panning, all the same, fabulous, lovely. If you click on an object, and by the way, you can turn this off. You click on an object, I want you to see that this little bar shows up. If you don't like it, you can get rid of it. But there's some cool things on here. Before you get rid of it, take a deep breath. You might like it. You can zoom to the object that you selected. You can see I actually selected a big block. That's why the bar showed up over there. So you can zoom in on it. That's an option. You might want to change the line style, which is the line type, by the way, or the line weight. You might want to go into the layer manager, which we're going to do in just a second, by the way. You might want to change that entity to the current layer, right? There's a lot of things on here that are kind of cool that come in handy. Or you can change the current layer to be the same as that object, all very quickly, all really easy peasy. So before you get rid of that bar that shows up when you select an object, which is just a feature inside of DraftSight, you might want to give it a try. So I mentioned the layer manager. So inside of AutoCAD, it's the layer manager. Inside of DraftSight, it's the layers manager. Once again, fraternal twin, non-identical twin, we will not charge you for the extra character. So let's click on it, because if you, the layer command is the third most frequently used command in AutoCAD. And if you don't feel comfortable with layers, you are not going to like DraftSight. And that was like the first thing I always take a look at when I take a look at options other than AutoCAD. I got to see how they do layers. So that's the first thing I jumped into when I jumped into DraftSight. Let's have a look. Well, first of all, there are grid lines, which made me super happy. Like, I was a math major. I love grid lines. I can't help myself. So much easier to read. I actually prefer the layers manager inside of DraftSight to the layer manager, layer property manager, if you will, inside of AutoCAD any day. First, I don't have to figure out what all the icons mean. I can read. I love this. It actually tells me it's text. I love that. Fabulous. And you'll see it's very, very similar. It's the same 4 options, the upper left-hand corner, new VP, freeze, delete, and activate. Activate, there's no activate in AutoCAD. Oh yeah, it's the same as current. I can select a layer. I can click activate. It makes it the current layer. It actually makes more sense. You can activate it. I mean, all the layers are current, let's face it. It activates it. It puts it on the top, right? It's the activated layer. All semantics. Or you can also, of course, you can still double click and make a layer current if you want. No problem. You can do that as well. You know, you can add new layers, new. See that layer 1, 2, 3, 4, all kind, very similar to what you're used to inside of AutoCAD. There's layer states, there are filters. You should feel comfortable in here. You should be able to get your jobs done in here. And that's what you need to be able to do, right? You need to be able to get your job done in the product. You're going to be able to do that inside of DraftSight. That is the goal. You don't have time to learn something brand new, and you don't want to like start to suffer because you don't have the commands that you need to be successful. They're all in here. Everything will be peachy keen. Now, I'm just giving you just a quick, super quick little look. Super quick, maybe not quick enough. It's like I took too long. So let me go back over to my PowerPoint presentation, and I want to take time away from fabulous Simon. But if you take a look at this, there's another example. Object snaps inside of AutoCAD versus entity snaps inside of DraftSight. Can you see by looking at here? Super similar, a few slight different wording, but you're not going to miss out on anything. That's what's really important. Let's talk about file types, because people say, well, wait a minute, can I share the files that I make inside of DraftSight with AutoCAD files? Yeah. Guess what? DraftSight creates DWG files just like AutoCAD does. They are fabulous DWG files. They will go into AutoCAD and be beautiful and be just fine. And you can take AutoCAD DWG files and bring them into DraftSight just fine. In fact, I'd like you to look at these save as options. If you do save as in AutoCAD, you can save back to release 14. You can save back to release 12. I'm not talking about 2012. I'm talking about release 12, which was back in the early 90s, a long time ago. If for some reason you ran into somebody that had an AutoCAD release 12, you can do that in DraftSight. The data integrity in the program is crazy amazing. It is fabulous. Way more save as options inside of DraftSight. as opposed to AutoCAD. And I actually always love to tell the story about how when I was working for Autodesk and I was doing presentations on AutoCAD, somebody came up to me and told me that they had DraftSight because they needed to save back further than AutoCAD did. And I hadn't even heard of DraftSight at the time. I didn't know anything about it. And they also said that they had DraftSight because sometimes they would get a drawing file in AutoCAD that was corrupted and they couldn't fix it in AutoCAD, but they could fix it in DraftSight. Now that's crazy. That's crazy. I don't know if that's the case anymore, by the way. I haven't tried it or anything like that. But the point is the data integrity is amazing inside of DraftSight. They know what they're doing. Now, what else have we got going on? So DraftSight is so much smaller, just takes up much less disk space, requires much less RAM than AutoCAD does, or AutoCAD LT, because AutoCAD LT is just AutoCAD with functions that are disabled, just so we're clear on that. It takes up a lot of room on your hard drive, right? It's just kind of a crippled AutoCAD, if you will. It's like crunched up AutoCAD. So if you take a look at this and you think about this, not only could you potentially save money on software, a lot of money, but you could save money on hardware as well, things you don't think about. Remember, AutoCAD has been around for almost 40 years. So they keep adding and 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 adding more and more stuff, as opposed to DraftSight, which is much newer, based on newer technology. They were able to keep it nice and neat and clean, keep it nice and lightweight. And that is a fabulous and wonderful thing. And that's what you get to take advantage of. And as I always like to say, millions of DraftSight users cannot be wrong. I like strength in numbers. I like to know there's a lot of people out there that are using it. I like to know that a big company owns it that's not going to decide to get rid of it and dismiss it, right? We love DraftSight. Solidworks is back at DraftSight like you have no idea. We're constantly putting more money into adding more features and supporting it, and it's not going to go anywhere. And I think that's an important thing for you to think about. So you can be this guy and experience a quick transition. It'll be easy peasy, just like this guy's showing you. I want to be him. What about customization? Okay, somehow that kind of fell off into the next line. I apologize for that. Maybe it's, I don't know what happened there. But anyway, you get the idea. So I just want to talk about this because this is important, right? So as I mentioned, you did some customizations. I don't want you to leave anything behind that, unless you have to. So if you did auto list routines, you're good. Visual list routines, you're good. Your CUIs, your menus, right? Everything you did in the CUI, you're good. Your menus, your line types, your hatch patterns, your template files. If you have custom fonts, all of that stuff, your sheet sets, all good, except for the PGP file. Boo! So unfortunately, your PGP file will not come across. And I don't want to lie to you. I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't want you to say, call me up, say, Lynn, you lied. So why is that? Because the way that DraftSight makes it speak AutoCAD is through its own PGP file. So when I type in donut, it knows I'm executing the ring command, right? That's in the PGP file. So they can't take a chance of you landing on top of their PGP file. So you will have to recustomize that. Sorry, that's a little bit of bad news. But when you see how much money you save, you'll be able to handle it. Trust me. It'll be okay. It could be a lot worse. Okay. Other than that, everything else is rosy. It's fabulous. All right. Just being honest. Let's talk about the cool stuff. What's in DraftSight? My favorite command. I begged Autodesk to put this command into AutoCAD. I did not. I had to write my own list routine to get it to kind of happen. And it only kind of happened. So when we go into trim, we have to select cutting edges, right? And if you know trim well enough, you can hit an extra enter and everything becomes a cutting edge, even though nothing highlights. That's fine, whatever. The power trim command, simple click, you just start to trim. We just go. I don't have time for picking anything. I just go. I just start to trim. It's beautiful. I hold the shift key down. It switches over to extend. It is a fabulous, fabulous command that you will all want. I don't like extra picks and clicks. If you've ever watched any of my hundreds of AutoCAD videos, you know I'm all about being a lazy AutoCAD user, and I don't want to do extra picks and clicks, all right? TB layer, this is what I mentioned to you is on the status bar. This allows you to assign layers per entity type. So I can say I want all my dimensions to go on this layer. I want all of my viewports, because we don't want them to print, do we? To go on this layer. I want all my text to go on this layer. I want hatches to go on this layer. You can set everything up so it knows what layer it belongs on. So you don't have to waste your time changing your current layer. How much time is that going to save you? I know you want that. I know you want that. I know you do. This is fabulous. You can turn it on and off anytime you want. You can change it anytime you want. It is a beautiful thing. I know you want it. You do. Auto dimensioning. When I was at Autodesk, AutoCAD has some great dimensioning tools, right? Which I was constantly showing. But I used to joke I wanted one where I could just window everything and then it would just auto dimension it all. Well, that's kind of what this is. You window everything and then you basically just say which side you want the dimensions to go and then poof, the dimensions show up. You pick what kind of dimension. Very simple, very straightforward. That is my kind of dimensioning for the lazy dimensioner. I don't have time for doing them one at a time. I'm too lazy. And then image tracers. I didn't used to talk about this until I got all these messages on Twitter. I'm a big Twitter fan saying, hey, Lynn, why don't you ever talk about image tracer? This allows you to bring in a raster image and it will convert it over to vector. If you have scan images, if you have JPEGs, if you have logos, whatever it is, it will convert them over to vector. Very simple. Now, Autodesk does have raster design, but this is built in and it's super easy to use. I love it, image tracer. Now, if any of you use Solidworks, and I think some of you did, according to the poll, you are familiar with the gesture wheel inside of Solidworks. Guess what? That's in DraftSight. Now, I was not a Solidworks user. Am now, was not. I did not realize how much I needed the gesture wheel. Oh, Lordy, I need it. That allows you to use the right mouse button, hold it down, the gesture wheel pops up, and you can execute whatever commands you want to add on the wheel. Between 4 and 8 commands you can put on there. It's easy to use. I just put my favorite commands. You know power trims on mine. You know that. And it's very easy, and you get really addicted to it, super addicted to it. Gestures, love it. You're going to want that. Can't live without it now. And then, of course, just so you know, you have the ability to import PDFs and have those convert over to vector as well. It does a better job in DraftSight because you can do multiple PDFs at the same time, and you can also do batch processing. So very, very well done inside of DraftSight. Very well thought out. And I also mentioned to you about those rich lines earlier. So as you can see, I can't do 2 inside of AutoCAD like you see on the screen right here. You can't do that with the PDFs inside of AutoCAD. All right. I'm at the end of my time. I'm telling you that I absolutely believe, I know that you can use DraftSight for your CAD needs. It is a best-in-class 2D and 3D. Of course, it is 3D CAD product. It has great tools, very professional, great functionality, and it is, 100% DWG compatibility. You're going to be able to maintain your productivity. It's an easy transition, and you're going to save a lot of money while you're at it, right? You can maximize your IT investment. And we also have cloud options. We have the 3D Experience platform. If you want to put your data up on the cloud, that's a whole nother discussion for another day. And we have options that may not be available to you with your current CAD solution for network licensing or for perpetual licenses. So I hope in my short amount of time, I at least convinced you should give it a try. And Simon's going to talk about that as well. It's free to try it, and I'm going to switch it over to you, Simon. Now it's all about you.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you for the wonderful presentation and all your workflows on DraftSight and for the benefits of productivity, ease of use, and for all the users out there. Well, my name is Simon Ng. I've been with the Salt system for nearly 3 years. Also spent 18 years total in all of this and a few other years in PTC. So I'm here to talk about actually the entire landscape, of the industry, various industry applications, and the entire 3D Experience Works portfolio, and how this important brand, DraftSight, right, forms part of the portfolio and its benefits. Okay, so let me share my screen. I hope you guys can see my screen clearly. Lynn, Nicholas.
You can see your screen.
Thank you very much. So The industry applications, I just want to highlight a few slides, and I want to focus on two key industries, namely, I call it the industry calls it the architecture, engineering, and construction industry, where we usually break it up into 4 or 5 different segments, and from owners, operators, utilities, various civil infrastructure, buildings, facilities, all the way down to material suppliers, fabricators, equipment that goes into a building, and the various disciplines, such as the people, right, or the professionals that are in these segments. Of course, for cities owners, you will see disciplines such as developers, town planners, various civil service professionals, and then in areas of utilities and civil infrastructure, you will see engineers, various engineers, contractors. In areas of building, the typical building, you have architects, your quantity surveyors, your builders or contractors, facilities management. And in areas of building products or fabricators or suppliers, there's a lot of various engineers, components, parts of the buildings that are built in the plant and assembled on site. There are various new areas in this discipline. They are going, there are new concepts. They call it design for manufacturing and assembly, industrialized building systems, PPVC, and various technologies are building up in this area right here. Now, the second industry I'm going to talk about is our manufacturing industry, the broad manufacturing industry, with its various workflows, various subsegments, a lot of subsegments actually, from transportation, mobility, to defense, to aerospace, to high tech, to industrial equipment, lifestyle, marine and offshore energy, so on and so forth. But we can briefly group them up into 3 key segments. The first one is the OEMs, the original equipment manufacturers. The brand, the companies that owns the brand of these products, and then there are contract manufacturers, and the third, which are the general suppliers. These are how I simplify the entire manufacturing industry. Of course, there are OEMs who own their own manufacturing plants, slightly similar workflow, but it's just the ownership of the business and entities. Of course, in OEMs, give an example, Apple, they own the product. They own the intellectual property. They own the life cycle. They don't own any plants, but they do have the designers. You see it very often, it's designed in California, manufactured in China, for example. They have engineers, various designers, product managers, business executives, because these are usually large public organizations which are owned by the public, for example, and could be plant professionals. And then the second segment are contract manufacturers. Could be business owners. They have a lot of engineers, project managers. A big contract manufacturer like Foxconn would, they contract manufacture for various brands, and then they would project manage a particular brand to a group of people. For example, they will include technicians, plant professionals, simulation professionals, so on and so forth. They do not own the intellectual property, but they own the processing, the manufacturing process, the intellectual property of that. And these professionals use a lot of various tools, including DraftSight, to get their job done. And finally, right, are the suppliers, a huge supply chain. If I have to depict it, it could be like component level or even system level suppliers, owner operators, various types of engineers, technician. Quality assurance are usually the tendency, because they do not own intellectual property of the entire brand. They supply maybe the battery or some sheet metal component, to another contract manufacturer, which in turn supplies to the brand. But they own the intellectual property of their product, of the materials, how they put it together, and even the quality of it, because they usually have a business model which they built to volume. Okay, so these are the 2 key industries, and the segments, and the typical disciplines, and how these professionals use our portfolio, including DraftSight. Now, what I'm going to show is a sample of various industries sub-segment, okay, how they're used. And the first off is, I call it building products and fabrication. These are like components that are made in the plant or fabricated in the workshop, which are assembled into a building, which include HVAC systems, heating, venting, air conditioning systems, lifts, elevators, building facades, custom parts of the building, so on and so forth. There are many. And what you see over here, this typical circle, right, from the bottom right all the way to the top, are what they need to do and the tools they use, and most importantly, the benefits they bring. And you see DraftSight, okay, as a 2D or 3D application used concurrently with Solidworks and other tools, right, are used across their workflow to bring them the benefits, such as, reducing lead time, improving productivity, capturing intent, design intent, very important, interoperability with various stakeholders and contractors. These are some of their workflows because they would have to deliver, accurate costing. They call it material takeoff. They would need to come up with fabrication drawings for each and every part they fabricate, and the machining sequences and so on and so forth. Now, that subsegment I would like to highlight its facilities management. It's the unsung heroes, for the AEC industry. These are the guys that are responsible for the building, for the facility after its completion. They usually do a lot of layouts for safety, for various human resource purposes, and they need to use tools such as DraftSight for various planning, visualization, and even the latest trend is they need to connect the facilities to various IoT technologies such as heating, venting, air conditioning, energy consumption for sustainable buildings, so on and so forth. So DraftSight can be used across their workflows to give them these benefits. Another example I'd like to highlight here are furniture. There are various sub-segments to the finishing industry. There are the custom furniture manufacturers, there are the home furniture, the office furniture, for example. These are part of the feed into the construction industry, may I say. Okay, their business models are usually there's a plant somewhere and they do global businesses where they configure the finishing or even the ideas of the design, and then do it. They configure to a project, to a particular office in Dubai, in Tokyo, build in volume, and manufacture and ship everything out right there to the spec, to the specification of their customer, which could include owners, architects, interior designers, to fit out the entire building. This is an industry which is very interesting and is very prevalent in this part of the world in Southeast Asia. And they use 2D software and DraftSight and a lot of Solidworks all across their workflow to give them the benefits. They are talking about configuration to order, reading in the layout of the building, fitting out, the entire building with the finishing they require, so on and so forth, all the way down to the product design, the chair, the equipment, and so on and so forth. And they will be using various technologies from our entire portfolio. Now, the next couple of examples I'll show is bigger. It's also linked to the AEC industry, the engineering and construction industry. This example I put forth is of a plant. It can be a process plant of energy, it can be or liquid or raw materials. They have a huge consumption of 2D applications for documentation purposes. They use multiple fabricators. As their project has to be documented, legally documented, and they print out all the drawings signed by multiple stakeholder parties in a timeline to deliver their project, right? So they use various technologies, from 2D to 3D to collaboration to simulation tools, very advanced data management and lifecycle tools, right, to deliver their complex projects, which are usually multi-discipline engineering. It's what they call an EPC, engineering, procurement, and construction company. They will require mechanical discipline, structure, electrical, electromechanics, and so on and so forth. A few other industries which are close and dear to us in the salt systems are like the industrial equipment. This is a big part of our portfolio. There are various equipment manufacturers. It could be a system, it could be a machine or a subsystem, part of a factory, part of a brand. How they use our software is they usually use a lot of 2D for planning. They will use 3D for various subsystems, how they design and their equipment. And these are usually contract manufacturers in nature. There are some who own their own brands and make the particular equipment and sell it to the masses. But they usually use our products, right? A multiple portfolio from the salt systems. And in DraftSight, as you see, right, is used across their value chain, especially in manufacturing, in documentation, downstream assembly instructions, and so on and so forth. There's a few other sub-segments, also part of industrial equipment. There's a lot of automation equipment. These are all configured to order, built to order. No equipment is the same. Okay, every equipment is customized to a particular buyer or customer's needs, whether they are in packaging, they could be in semiconductor, anything high volume. These guys are making money machines. They're printing money, and they're using all our software, whether it's 2D or 3D, right? The entire flow, right? From planning, from detailed design, from configuration to simulation, and a lot of various drawings, right? They need documentation for fabrication, usually outsourced fabrication, okay? And finally, the marine and offshore industry. I'm just showing an example of a large yacht over here. It could encompass an ocean liner, huge processing, even a rig, for example, right, for energy or oil and gas processing. These guys use a lot of technology, including 2D, such as DraftSight, for various documentation. They're basically building a building that floats. Think of it this way. Includes finishing, controls, engine rooms, mechanical systems, electrical systems, that they are how they're using our entire portfolio, right? DraftSight plays a huge and important part because of the nature of the industry. Now, the solution, like what Lynn mentioned, okay, we summarize it into a few brands that we carry in our go-to-market team in the salt systems: Solidworks and 3D Experience Works, which is our cloud portfolio. What you see in the top right is DraftSight. It's our key brand in our entire portfolio, and it has all its benefits: DWG, multidisciplinary engineering, ease of use, scalability, it's used in various disciplines and different sub-segment industries. The bottom two are a little bit heavyweight. We also carry manufacturing enterprise resource planning and manufacturing execution systems. A brand called Delmia Works. It's out-of-the-box ERP solution from finance all the way to production. And the right is our high-end Simulia, multi-discipline, multi-domain simulation, very high-end simulation, simulating the real world and reducing costs, all that upfront. Now for DraftSight, okay, this is the entire portfolio. We have DraftSight Enterprise, which is equivalent to your AutoCAD, that's 2D drafting, network capability. DraftSight Enterprise Plus, which is 3D capabilities, more advanced tool sets, and our 3D experience DraftSight. It's based on DraftSight Enterprise Plus, but has include a wide array of various cloud applications for collaboration, product lifecycle management tools in the hands of a 2D user, ladies and gentlemen. It's very, very powerful. Then again, right, what you see, ladies and gentlemen, is our entire portfolio separated to 5 domains on the left, from design to simulation to manufacturing to marketing to governance. And our portfolio, a wide array of portfolio from desktop and cloud. And in DraftSight is right on top in the middle right here, side by side with SolidWorks and the rest of our portfolio. And we even have a 3D experience DraftSight portfolio on the cloud side of things. And of course, all these applications, right, has this they have its licensing model and deployment model benefits. We believe in flexibility of our licensing and deployment to give the best value for our customers and like yourself. Give you scalability, flexibility, and lower upfront costs in every area. So these are some very high level benefits of DraftSight, like what Lynn mentioned, with flexible licensing, interoperability, DWG, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, you are from various different industry subsegments. You have the scalability to the Salt Systems 3D experience platform from the examples I showed earlier. This is the last slide, very high level of what we have, all our brands on the left, all the industries that we serve, and our solution from on-premise to the cloud, where we have end-to-end solution, ease of use, very flexible, cloud connected, and most importantly, right, gives you peace of mind and scalability to the highest end technology available. On summary, please go to DraftSight.com, download our trial. I know you have a lot of questions from pricing to where you get the software and so on and so forth. Do contact contact us on aps.marketing@3ds.com. And thank you very much. I hand over back to my colleagues.
Thank you, Lynn and Simon, for your insightful sharing so far. To the attendees, if you have any questions, please send them through the Q&A box, or you're also free to send it through the chat box and we will attend to your questions.
We had a couple of good questions, actually.
Yeah, we do have one. This is by Team. So he asks, can DraftSight have CAM like Solidworks CAM?
Let Simon answer that one.
Let me answer that. The basic DraftSight, right? DraftSight Enterprise includes 2D profiling capability for machining. Very often used for sheet metal, some basic production machining, where you can generate CAM profile, offset with the tool meaning the milling tool, and then it generates into a simple cutter location data where it can easily be inputted into your CNC machines for basic machining purposes. Yes, it includes. And of course, you want more advanced capability, the 3-axis, the 5-axis machining, the additive manufacturing, 3D printing with completely different types of manufacturing tools. You're scalable to the 3D Experience Works portfolio, which includes Solidworks. Hope that answers your question. Lynn?
Good answer. I was looking at Alfred's question. Sorry, I kind of tuned out a little bit. I figured you had that one. Sorry, Simon. I was looking at Alfred's question. Alfred had two great questions. Can we move on to his questions, or do you think? He had one question about dark mode. I just want you to know that DraftSight does support dark mode. I had it set up in light mode for the demo just because I think it's a little easier for you guys to see when I'm demoing. It shows up clear on webinars like Zoom, for example. And then he also had another question, about, which really also excellent question about the PGP file. Is it going to recognize the some of the aliases that AutoCAD does? And it does recognize a lot of the aliases that AutoCAD does. I don't know if it recognizes all of them. Are you taking a picture? Simon's taking
yes,
a
I am.
picture. He took a picture. You cracked me up. So it does recognize a lot, like E for erase and L for line and all that stuff. And it recognizes a lot of the aliases. I don't know if it recognizes every single one of them. Simon mentioned to download the trial, don't listen to us, download the trial, try it for yourself, see if you can get comfortable in it, and see if you feel like it meets your needs, and try those aliases, try your customizations, open up those DWG files. Now, we ultimately just want you to be happy. We don't want you to buy DraftSight and be unhappy. That would be bad. And plus, we know when you try it, you're going to love it. We know that because we have so many people that have done that. But that would be the thing to do to see whether or not those aliases are correct. And then we have about Lisp. I have a bunch of Lisp custom commands, uploading Lisp. Oh, flying by. Look at all the questions now.
Hey, just to
Yep,
interrupt,
yep.
Lynn. What's this thing with dark mode now? I mean, I get it. You know.
Oh, dark mode. So, like the ribbon. So the ribbon, I had it all light, but you can also make the ribbon dark and the other parts of the user interface. A lot of people like it in dark mode. So a few years ago, I think like 10 years ago, Autodesk came out with the ability to make all of that kind of a gray color. The light can be sometimes a little hard on your eyes. For some of you who work with the CAD products day in and day out, that light bright can be hard on your eyes and makes your eyes really tired. So they gave you the ability to make it that gray color. And DraftSight also has the ability in the last release of DraftSight that gave you that ability. You just right click up in the upper right hand corner by where I can show you. Anyway, right by the, you just right click and you switch it.
It's just a cool factor thing, right? It doesn't
Yeah,
really
I'm just saying
improve,
you can do it. Everybody, you can do it in AutoCAD. You can also do it in DraftSight. And then just so you know, you can upload in DraftSight just like you can. I'm going to answer your question. Alfonso, I hope I didn't butcher your name. You can also upload just like you can inside of AutoCAD. And once again, try it. Don't listen to me. What do I know? Try it. So you can see I'm not making it up. And I'm going to import RFA models. I don't know. Do you know, Simon? I don't know everything, just so you guys know.
RFA. I need some help with that.
Revit?
No, Revit is RVT. Revit is RVT.
Yeah.
We interoperate through IFC. That's an industry open standard, right? Which is better, which is adopted various large companies, Japanese construction companies, conglomerates. They prefer that because there are many other BIM tools out there.
Right. Okay. Sorry, I'm not answering. And the training options. Megan knows the training options. Megan, are you allowed to talk? She doesn't want to talk. I don't know if she's allowed to talk as a panelist. We do have a variety of training modules available to you free of charge, all free of charge. And remember, it's very similar. I mean, first of all, there's the land of YouTube. There's all kinds of training out there available. It's very similar to AutoCAD. Almost. Oh, there she is. Megan, you can definitely answer this one.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
All right. So yes, we have many different resources. There's a dedicated resource section of DraftSight.com. There's also many user guides that you can find exploring our website. We have multiple blogs that go through feature by feature. And then Lynn just mentioned it, but on YouTube, we have many options as well. Learning journeys, DraftSight fundamentals. So please reach out, but you'll really start on DraftSight.com and explore from there.
Thank you, Megan. You're the best.
Thanks,
Lynn. Thank you. I'm glad you joined. I have one prospect who wants to buy DraftSight, but they use Linux. Is it possible if they just buy only one license standalone? It is possible. You can buy just one license of DraftSight. Of course. Yes, the answer is yes.
Thank you for answering that, Lynn, Simon, and Megan. So we have one more question. So can DraftSight open STL file?
STL, stereolithography.
Yep. I would
Solidworks opens it very easily.
I would think so.
Yeah, I think DraftSight Enterprise Plus could have that option. They are just polygons, FYI. Usually they are generated for 3D printing purposes, and they're usually polygon. There are many viewers out there who does that. Viewers as in software viewer that opens these files for various purposes, for visualization, for aggregation of data, for 3D printing. I would recommend, if you're going down that path for 3D printing or additive manufacturing, scale to SolidWorks for that. It gives you much more options to simplify the model, to build supports, so on and so forth. That would be my answer.
I'm wandering around in DraftSight trying to find it. I don't see it off the top of my head. Good questions. You guys have good questions.
Thanks, Simon. So we have one question from me. So I hope I got your question correctly. I think May asked if we can use DraftSight to draw 3D with heat or liquid flow animation.
Oh my goodness. Simon's going to answer that one. You go, Simon.
Well, heat or liquid flow animation. I mean, I would ask the
I don't think you want
purpose
to
of,
do that in a 2D
yeah.
CAD program.
Yeah, usually questions like that, they are the objectives. I'm just making assumptions over here without further questions, right? For the clarification, is for various computational fluid dynamics purposes. Yeah, for building, you wanna know, how air flows inside, outside the building for indoor air quality, comfort. Number one. For the outside, you want to do wind wake analysis, see whether the building, the facades withstand those typhoons and all that. And for equipment level, pumps and all that, you want to know how it works, whether there's the right motor, right pump you put in place, so on and so forth. For these types of applications, right, you will go 3D. You go to Solidworks, and there are various computational fluid dynamics types of simulation in that area. But if you're asking for pure visualization purposes, just to see the wave, the water and all that, we have various options in SolidWorks visualization, and even our 3D Experience 3D Excite platform to do those various visualizations. It is tough usually, I understand, for this visualizing waves and all that. But if it's for marketing visualization purposes, like I showed, we have a list of other portfolios to scale to that. Hope that answers your question.
Good answer, Simon.
Thank you, Simon. So we have actually concluded our session like 5 minutes ago, but I believe that our speakers are happy to stay on to answer any questions that you have. So we will continue to stay on for another 5 more minutes if you have any questions. So we have.
They're asking about the DraftSight 3D functionality, or does it overlap into SolidWorks? So first of all, yes, you can do 3D inside of DraftSight, just like you can inside of AutoCAD. I'm just going to tell you, compared to SolidWorks, it's just so much more painful, if you ask me. I mean, SolidWorks is a fabulous, amazing 3D solid modeler. It's just so much easier to use. The functionality is unbelievable compared to what you can do inside a DraftSight. But yeah, I can take my lines, arcs, and circles, and I can convert them into 3D. Yeah, I can do that. I can draw. There is 3D functionality, and you can do some. If you want to work really, really hard, you can do some amazing 3D work inside a DraftSight. Absolutely, you can do that. But you will be so much happier, and you will probably live longer if you just do it inside of SolidWorks. I don't know how else to say it. It's just a
Great
much
answer.
better product. It's just really the route to take. But you can go that route if you want.
Just to add to Lynn, right? Like we showed the workflows. You need various tools to get the job done in different in disciplines and all that. So we're showing you the broad portfolio. Use the right tool, for the right function.
And can you render? I mean, yeah, once again, are you doing those 3D models inside a DraftSight? Can you render? DraftSight doesn't have the rendering engine capabilities that, once again, you're going to find inside of a product like SolidWorks. I don't know how you want to answer that one, Simon.
Rendering. I would suggest to go to SolidWorks Visualize.
Yeah.
Back in about 10 years ago, or maybe even 8 years ago, the Dassault Systems acquired world-class rendering software amongst many called Bunk Speed. Autodesk was competing with them head to toe in automotive industry. And we acquired Bunk Speed, we made it into SolidWorks Visualize. And the other marketing portions of it, we made it into 3D Excite for marketing, configuration building, So what, if you scale it to SolidWorks Visualize, it's a world-class marketing capability rendering engine that you're looking at.
And if you double click on a file, is it going to open another instance of DraftSight? Probably will open another instance, I would say.
Timothy asked the question whether DraftSight 3D functionality overlaps into SolidWorks. The DraftSight, can I answer that, Lynn?
Yeah, I kind of answered it earlier, but I
Yeah,
bet
you
your
answered
answer's
it.
going to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
better.
yeah.
No,
Then,
I'd like to hear your answer, Simon.
yeah, I mean, DraftSight is a very powerful 3D capability, but it's a different technology, It's Boolean based, it's fast, and, for a particular purpose, especially good in the AEC industry. But you want to do, very accurate micron level accuracy, manufacturing quality, 3D, you should scale to SolidWorks.
I like your answer better, actually, Simon. So if you're, doors, walls, and windows, okay. But if you're really involved in the mechanical industry, you're going to get frustrated, I think, personally. SolidWorks, you want to go to SolidWorks.
Thank you so much, Lee and Simon, for answering all the questions so far. And I believe that I would like to thank also all our participants for joining us today on our webinar session. So we do hope that you also find it interesting. And this session will be made available for you after this. So thank you so much and goodbye.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Lynn.
Of course, anytime. Bye, everybody.